All right. So today we're going to work on highlighting the geese. So I have here white, titanium white, and titanium buff. Also, Naples yellow would work with white. I will give it a little bit more of a yellow hint. So I'm going to take a flat brush or bright, and I will need also a round one for the smaller areas. It's not going to be, I'm just going to mix now white, titanium buff. We can use pure white only for the last kind of smaller areas where we want a punch of highlight. But for now, this soft combination is perfect. Bring in some of this titanium buff, more than white. Let's start with the, let me see the reference. Yes, so we're going to start with the light coming from the left. You use this for the head of this one here. And you can see, even with quite a bit of titanium buff, it's still strong, like it's still really light. Now, this is exposed to sun or light because it comes out, this part of the face. Then we're going to go down. And at this point, I'm going to take just titanium buff, only titanium buff. And you know, this kind of between transition between the white and the dark, between the highlighted area and the area in the shadow right there. I'm going to soften the transition. So I don't want the white to be overwhelming all of these areas here. So all I'm doing is I'm putting some titanium buff. This is, at this point, I'm going to take some cerulean. And raw umber, what we used last week for the shadow area, grayish blue with titanium buff. Add titanium buff to this part. So I'm trying to keep the whitish area only on the side, on the edge. And I'm going to go in and soften this, because once you add a highlight, usually any part that is shadow will look even stronger. Yeah. Especially if I want the transition between the light and dark to be soft. No harsh edges. We'll keep the darkest dark area to the bottom, usually. Keeping an eye on the connection between the goose in the back and the one in the front. So if I want this to be this part of this duck right here to be in the front, this value has to be higher, stronger than the one in the back behind it. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with that titanium buff and cerulean and raw umber right down here. I'm gonna keep it really dark down here. Now I can go back, take some of the cerulean blue, titanium buff and titanium white, and enhance. Now my transition of highlight is softer when you see compared to, or the connection between the dark and light is softer at this point because I softened the shadow area. Okay, that's good. Gonna let it dry. I'm gonna take a little bit of more white with titanium buff, but more white, and just kind of in certain areas, not everywhere, enhance this highlight, head, side, a little bit down here, because the highlight will make it come forward, will make this area come forward. Okay. Okay. I think we can move on to the one on the left, and then we'll come to this one here. So I'm going to pause for a minute and then we'll come back. All right, let's work on this one here. The same idea. I'm going to start with some highlights and mostly titanium buff, a tiny bit of white, not much, just a bit, because I like to increase the highlight slowly. And again, I'm going to have some highlights right here, right there, kind of like in a triangle, and then bring it in. This is a little bit more trickier than the other ones. So I left some of this around the eye a little bit darker because the eye is in. So the fur around the eye, this area is a tiny bit darker. Now underneath the beak right there should stay dark. And I'm highlighting slowly, carefully. Again, I'm gonna go down. Trying to keep the area underneath the beak darker. And also not in a sharp line, straight line down here, in this area here. Don't make it into a straight line because this is fur and there are muscles underneath, so it's not going to be straight. again now, let's take titanium buff, a little bit of white, and then highlight this area. Keeping an eye on the reference. Of course, neck goes in, less light. The back over here up, more light, more highlight. Bring in a little bit more white at this point, and I'm going to do this part. As soon as I turn into the lower part of the duck, I'm going to go slightly darker. So now I have darker parts here, and I'm going to still work on this part, and less white. So now I'm going to take titanium buff, start adding darker. Take cerulean, raw umber, make my blue a little bit more grayish blue, and more with titanium buff. I don't want it to be too dark, but I want this titanium buff to be cool color. And I can slowly darken this area, but I'm darkening it, but it's actually highlight. It's not really dark. So I'm taking the gray blue and I'm adding titanium buff to the gray blue. Same, all right, same around this area. If you put your highlight everywhere, then you'll end up with flat. So although I am adding, I'm kind of highlighting right now, but it's subtle highlight. Okay, I'm going to keep the bottom part dark. And now I'm going to come back and I'm going to reduce the exposure a bit. Yeah. Take titanium buff now. I haven't washed my brush. It still has a bit of that blue. And I'm going to start increasing the amount or the area where I have highlights. Now that I softened the darks that I had before, that we did last week, I can go back and start highlighting a bit more, because I don't have a huge jump between the dark and the light. All right, that goes in, so I'm assuming this should be a little bit darker right here. Yes, so there we go, a little bit more blue. Yeah, go back and just stop where, make sure that I stop where the light, the shape of the goose turns down in. This way my highlights and darks make sense. All right, a little bit dark, a little bit softer here. Okay, and again, it has a tiny little bump here. So I'm highlighting this. And I'm going to keep the rest. Okay. Awesome. So now I have a value that is soft, really soft value. Now, between dark and light, except for this area, which I'm going to soften a bit. Let's take a little bit of touch of raw umber and titanium buff and make it into more of a glaze. And let's soften this. Let's go back again, a little bit more of raw umber. There. This one here too. Any harsh line, strong harsh line that doesn't look realistic, I'm going to soften it. This one here. This is like glazing right now. Just a bit of raw umber in there. Okay, let's go back to titanium buff, white. Now I'm increasing the amount of highlight, but I'm still using no pure white, white with titanium buff. And I'm going to give this area here a little bit more of a highlight. Over here as well. Soft, very soft. And here. If the highlight is everywhere, then it doesn't make any, there's no strong effect. It doesn't make any, first of all, the object or the fur will look flat. So we really have to be careful. So whenever I am preparing to put white, I always make sure that there is a softer color before. If I want to use pure white, and when I use pure white, it's going to be in smaller areas. It's like smaller, not big areas. All right. Okay, now I need a little bit more white at this point. I can take white. I'm still gonna put a tiny little bit of titanium buff in it, not as big amount like before, but a lot more titanium white. And now I can come here and add this titanium buff. So when I add it, there's not a big jump between the dark and the light. Makes sense. I can see it. It looks nice. And then I'm going to do the same right here. That's white. White over here. Let's go with titanium buff and white. you're seeing on the camera, it looks very, the white looks really white because the camera usually when I zoom in, it tries to compensate for the light. I don't know why it does that. Anyway, so it's not that white. It's softer. It looks so harsh on the monitor. Let me see if I adjust also the white balance. Okay. All right. Also, I'd like to add a bit of highlight down here. That's more with, this highlight has a little bit more of the titanium buff. So the white is mostly up here, tail, and then the rest has more titanium buff. And this part here has white, more white, but the rest is again more titanium buff. Right. Let's take a bit more of the umber, titanium buff. All right, I don't want to lose the darks that I have here, the soft darks. So I have a strong highlight right here, then I have medium, and then I have darker, and then dark. So that's a good transition of color or values, I should say. All right, let's work on this part a bit more. And we're good. Now I can see that there's a kind of a, and we don't have to put it, but just for fun, a couple of the feather part right here that are, you can see them. Okay. All right, that's enough. That's good for this part. We can, this one is done. We're going to move on to this one here in a minute. Right, now let's work on the one in the front. I'm just taking titanium buff for now. And I'm going to start with the side. Top part. This one here goes out, this part. I'm going to highlight this as well. And this way. Let's take a little bit of a tiny softening all this. Okay, that's good. Let's leave it at that. Now, let's go back here with the corner of my brush. I'm giving this area a tiny bit of texture using my brush. Okay, I really don't want to lose the darks. If I lose them, it's not a big deal. I can get them back. We're not going for realism here. I'm adding at this point a tiny bit of raw umber with the titanium buff because I want to start highlighting slowly and softening the darks. I don't want to get rid of the darks. I just want to soften them. I'm always keeping an eye on the shape so I know where to put the values, where it's going to be dark, medium, highlighted. But as soon as I soften all of these areas, and now I'm using titanium buff and a bit of raw umber, as soon as I start softening all these areas that are darks, I'm just kind of approaching my highlights slowly. I'm not going straight for the highlights. There's no way I can do that because I'm going to end up with flat areas. So I'm at kind of mapping where the highlights are with a soft titanium buff and raw umber. Bottom part here, I still want to see some of the blue in here, so I'm going to take a touch of Cerulean Blue, mix it again with raw umber and titanium buff, but more kind of titanium buff than before. So it's not heavy, strong darks, but I want to see those darks. And they will look darker once I start highlighting over this area here. All right. Okay, now I can go back, clean my brush, take titanium buff, add white, and now I'm starting to highlight more. And I'm going to come here. That's, again, titanium buff, a little bit of titanium white in there. And let's start with the one in the front. This goose in the front has more detail, closer, not detail, but more kind of, you can see the muscles a lot more than what you see in the ones in the back. So I have to be careful how I'm putting my highlights so I don't end up with flat. And also, although I don't want to, I'm not trying to go for realism, but still, I want to make sure that I have some kind of shape. See what I meant when I said that those darks will look darker when I start adding highlights. Oh, this leg should be higher, so okay. All right, I'm gonna do this. Darker here. Right here. And down at the bottom part right there. That has raw umber, cerulean blue, and titanium buff. So blending, trying to blend and make the transition softer between the light and dark. And I'm going to go back to this area in a minute. Now, this is good enough. I'm going to take white, titanium buff, a little bit more detail than the ones in the back, showing some feathers in here. And the tail is really light, so I'm going to take a bit of more white. Carefully put this tail on. Not everywhere, just the top part, and then a little bit down up here as well, where I have this feather overlapping. a little bit highlighted more than the rest. A little bit more highlights with a bit of a little bit more detail, just because this one is in the front. All right. Right. Okay. Enhance shape a bit of this part, straight up, just like that, or fix it a bit. And then I'm going to go back now to highlighting a little bit more other areas. More like this part here, that's white and titanium buff. Dab it. So the strong highlight is from the left. Anything on the right hand side is less highlighted. Again, underneath. Okay, let's do this first, and this part, and this part right there. Now, underneath the beak right there is a bit highlighted because, of course, it's higher up. So I'm going to take titanium buff and a smaller brush, round brush, titanium buff, a little bit of raw umber, and highlight this kind of a tiny bit to bring it out. Keeping this side darker, the side right there. So let's take a little bit more of the raw umber with titanium buff and soften this. This seems to be the area where most of the strong highlight is there, or darks or shadows or values are here. All right. Okay. This leg is going to go up here. Okay. Anything else? Yes, one more. Titanium buff with a bit of cerulean, and I'm going to put it here because this part is higher. And let's take smaller brush, round, fine round brush. Take titanium buff. And again, give this part a tiny bit more of the texture of a feather. Now, I am going to add the fourth one right here, just for anybody who wants to do this, since I have the colors. So when I come back, I'll just draw it. When I come back, I'll add it. I'm gonna pause. Right, so I transferred the one in the back, this goose in the back, and I'm going to paint it. Same titanium buff. Raw umber. First layer, raw umber, a little bit of cerulean, titanium buff. That will give me the cool overall. Grayish color. And
he's so cute.
I know, he's
like he looks like he's the troublemaker.
Yeah, looks like he's saying,
like
I'm here too. Like I can do exactly what they can do. Yeah, right. All right, there we go. Peekaboo. And let's put some beak and some eyes. Then I will highlight it. This will not take long at all. Cadmium Red Light. Cadmium Yellow Light for the orange. And I'm going to mix them together and get a nice orange in here. And for the first layer, I am going to use raw umber in here in one part, right there. Put the color. You can't see it, but because it looks exactly the same color as the background, but once I highlight it and add some detail, we'll see it more. Meanwhile, I'm going to take this color again and extend the leg right here. Yeah. All right, let's keep this now. Leave it alone for a minute. It's too late. Darken it a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight the small one in the back. Let's take titanium buff. And add the gray in. Blue gray that I have over here, but with more titanium buff. Start highlighting slowly. I'm going to highlight more in a minute. Okay. more white with the gray. So I'm putting the light color that the white and gray exactly where the dark neck of the one in the front. That's the only way I can see the one in the back, and I can highlight it. If I highlight this part over here behind this one, they're going to merge. So for me to be able to see the difference between the one in the back and the one in the front without merging them is to highlight the opposite. I will highlight the one in the back where this in front of that highlight, there's a dark. And then I leave the part where it's highlighted right here, opposite, dark behind it. Then they're separate, they're not merging. Let's take titanium buff with a little bit of white, and again give this one here in the back a little bit more highlights. We don't need to highlight it too much. That's enough for us to see it. Now I'm going to take a little bit more white into the titanium buff and increase the amount of highlight here a bit more. Of course, with acrylics, you always have to adjust the values because it dries darker. Okay. Okay. Now let's take just raw umber and put the eyes in. I believe we can see both eyes. All right, and beak. Did I go too high? Yes, I did. All right, I know what to do. Take a bit of raw umber, put it in the orange, darken the bottom part of the beak right there. I think I went too high with the line, dark line. And I'm going to bring that dark line a little bit lower. And then highlight the beak. Red, titanium red, cadmium red light, and cadmium yellow light. Okay, now I can highlight the upper part. A little bit more over here. Perfect. All right, let's highlight this. Lower other part, like the second part of the beak is a little bit, let's add a bit more red, cadmium red. Just the top part. We'll try to highlight just the top part. Bottom part, we'll keep it dark. I'm going to bring in a bit of more red, just kind of more fun, and highlight this part. Perfect. Okay, let's go. Next. This one here. The feeling needs more red, tiny bit more. Cadmium Red Light with a little bit of Cadmium Yellow Light. I like this red. It just gives it a bit more different definition. Okay, let's do this one. And a bit more red here. Awesome. All right. Let's take red and raw umber. Bring in the rest of the orange in. And give a little bit more definition for the lower part. Here too. Ooh, that's too red. I should add a tiny bit more of the raw umber in here, just to tone it down. I will glaze it with raw umber in a minute. Okay, let's go here. There will be grass here, that's why I'm not paying too much attention, putting too much detail in this area here, because I'm going to put grass over it. Okay, and the one in the back. Hint of orange in there. Take the raw umber. Put some raw umber in here, at the back of this leg and right here, because that is right there. Just to tone down this area, and the back of the feet right there should be darker right here, otherwise it'll look flat. So if we put a bit of highlights, or darks I should say, dark with raw umber on one side, we are giving the leg a little bit of a shape. This one needs a little bit of a, yep. And the one in the back, I will try to do this in the back. It's too small, too tiny, but I will try to give them there. The one in here too needs, there. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to stop recording. Okay, so we're done for this week. Next week is Canada Day, so we don't have a class. We will have another class July 8th. Double check. I'm giving you the right. Yes, we will continue this project July 8th. So next week Wednesday is going to be Canada Day, no class. We will continue July 8th.